Okay, let's go ahead and get started. First, thanks for joining us here today. We're going to spend the next 45 minutes or so talking about really two main things. First of all, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about this solution that Microsoft has released in the marketplace called Office 365. I realize that some people on this call may already be using Office 365 and may be very familiar with it, so we're not going to go in great depth on all the nuances of Office 365, but did want to just cover it at a certain degree. And then the second part is we're going to dive into quite a bit of detail around a solution that we've made available to enhance the overall Office 365 collaboration experience with companies that deal with project teams for a living. Companies that are out there bidding and selling and implementing projects for their clients. So that product is called ServicePoint365, and we'll get into a good bit of detail about that as a big chunk of this presentation today. So once again, thank you for joining us. Let's go ahead and get started. And if you're not familiar with what Office 365 is, it is really the strategic direction that Microsoft is going for all of their desktop and collaboration tools. So Office 365 has now been in the marketplace for a couple years. It is really again, the strategic platform that Microsoft is moving towards, and the fundamental difference is that Office 365 is really all about cloud. It's really all about cloud deployment of the desktop products and the productivity products that Microsoft is known for. And so over time, it's Microsoft's desire to move as many of their clients as possible from what they use today, which is typically an on-premises deployment of their email and productivity and document management and Office products, to be a cloud-based deployment, a subscription-based model, which makes it very affordable for people to get started, and also provides the protection, so to speak, that as new features and capabilities are introduced within the Microsoft solutions, those customers who are subscribing to it will automatically receive those updates, so you don't have to worry about the upgrade factor that you have traditionally. And we'll talk a little bit more about what's in it, but there's also some very powerful admin capabilities. So you have centralized administrative capabilities for all the Microsoft products that are contained within the Office 365 suite. And that's really what you can think of it as, is really being a suite of products that are all coming together. And it's gained quite a bit of acceptance, and you can see some of the logos on this slide. And I realize that not everybody on this call is American Express or McDonald's size. So I would tell you that the acceptance in the marketplace has really been at both ends of the spectrum. You have some of the largest companies in the world that have moved to Microsoft Online Services for their employees, 50s and hundreds of thousands of people. And likewise, you've got a very strong group of companies that are more in the small to medium-sized businesses that have also moved in this direction. And there's lots of reasons that companies are moving in the direction. We're not going to be able to cover it all today, but quite frankly, it's an easy way to consume, to purchase, to manage and support the environments moving forward, and basically gets a lot of the heavy lifting out of the way of companies and lets Microsoft take care of that for them. And just a little bit of an indication of how strongly it is accepted. Over 25 million emails today are handled through Microsoft Cloud Services. So just to show you that there's a great deal of volume and traffic that's already running through this Office 365 platform. So what's in it? I'm going to switch the slides now, and apologize. Hopefully it's painting fairly quickly at your end. But let's talk quickly about what's actually in this Office 365 product set. So first, as you'd expect by the name, is Office. So it's a new way that you can purchase Office. It's a subscription-based model. to get to your end users' Office products, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, all the things that they use today on their desktop in a subscription model. And some of the advantages of purchasing through the subscription model is that you can each seat, so to speak, they can install it on up to 5 different machines. So if you have one employee that's obviously going to be using it on their business machine, they can also install it on their personal devices. So up to 5 different PCs, Macs, or mobile devices. And also it gives them access to the Office products, even if they're traveling and away from their PCs. It can actually stream real time to whatever device they happen to be on, Word or Excel. They can do their work, and then it goes away. So some really neat technology that's incorporated in it. And the ability to set up desktops, basically it's a click and run install, so that it's very easy for end users to get in there and basically click, and it goes through the install process, and IT doesn't have to be in the middle of all that. So Office is obviously one of the components of it, but some other components that we're going to spend some more time on today. You've got Exchange Online. So Exchange has been the business standard for email for many years, and so now Exchange is available in the cloud. And rather than deploying Exchange servers on premises and installing Exchange and then managing it, basically you subscribe to Exchange. You basically point your whatever mailed client you're using. Outlook obviously is a pretty robust following. You point Outlook towards the Exchange Online instance versus the on-premises instance, and your users are off and running. And again, the ability to have all that content synchronized across the various devices, whether it's laptop or PC or handheld devices, from mail to contacts, calendar items, all of that. You also get 25 gig of storage per mailbox, which is usually an improvement of what most companies will allow storage size to be for a current mailbox. And then things like anti-spam and anti-malware, all of that's built in to the environment. So if you may have heard of a product, Forefront Protection, that's now built into the environment, so that you can go in there and tweak and turn on and turn off different filters on ensuring spam and malware don't enter the business. So Exchange Online, another big part of Office 365. Link Online, a tool that we're using here today. If you haven't used Link before, you can think of it as kind of instant messenger on steroids for the business. So you can do things like instant messenger. You can do PC to PC voice. You can do video conferencing. And it has a really neat feature called Presence, which, if you're working in team environments, it allows you to see based on color coding, people that are online and available, and people that might be busy, or people that are away. So that if you wanted to reach out and get a quick answer, you can start a quick chat with them, get your answer, and move on, versus sending emails and not knowing if the person at the other end is there to receive it. So Link, you can also use it for web conferences like what we're doing here today, both internal and external. And so I'd say in my own world, outside of email, I'm probably using Link as much as any other tool on my desktop these days to collaborate with our project teams. And then the last piece that we're going to talk about is a product called SharePoint Online. So you may be familiar with the name of SharePoint. It has been, again, kind of the standard for business document management and collaboration in enterprises for many years. It's got quite a customer base. That's now moved to a cloud version, which once again makes it easy to deploy. You don't have to worry about spinning up servers locally. You basically subscribe to it as a part of the bundle, and you have access to SharePoint, and then it's just a matter of getting the most value out of it. So you're using it for document management and sharing and so forth. And we're going to spend quite a bit of time talking about this piece here in a bit, because the ServicePoint 365 product that we're going to get into actually sits on top of SharePoint Online, and it uses SharePoint Online as the underlying engine. So just want to spend just a couple minutes making sure that everybody is aware with what are the different pieces of Office 365 if you weren't aware of it. So now let's launch into kind of what we've done to enhance the overall experience here for companies that are in the projects business. So when we work with companies in deploying Office 365, it's a fairly consistent theme. First of all, they kind of get what the Office products are about. It's Office, it's products they use today. It's just really a different way of buying and consuming them. They typically get what email is about. I mean, they're using email today in some form. Many of them are already using Exchange maybe on premises. But once again, it's just a new way of consuming it and a new way of deploying it. And the skills are very readily transferred from skills they have today. Link Online is typically a new tool, but there's not a tremendous amount of setup involved in Link Online. It's more of just teaching the end users what the capability is and how to use it effectively in their business. But when we come to SharePoint, we see a lot of companies, particularly kind of in the mid-market size companies, scratching their head a little bit in exactly how do they deploy SharePoint. SharePoint has a lot of capability, a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of flexibility, but you have to know typically something about SharePoint in order to deploy it correctly. And so a lot of companies don't have SharePoint skills on staff, and so what we find is that product is underutilized in a lot of companies that have moved towards Office 365. So what we're going to talk about is a product that we have developed, which is helping address this issue of helping companies maximize the value of SharePoint Online in their business and do so in a fashion to where they don't need to have a tremendous amount of SharePoint skills on staff or in their user base. So let me flip ahead here. So the product that we're going to talk about is called ServicePoint 365, and it was developed specifically for companies that are in, again, project-centric, team-oriented services business. And you can think of it as in the simplest sense, just to think about it right today, is you can think of it as a template that's already been created to organize content around a bunch of different areas that if you're in the services business, these are areas that you're probably already managing content in some degree, whether it be a file server that you have in the computer room that you're giving people maybe VPN access into, maybe it's a simple SharePoint environment already today that's kind of the basics but not what you really want. But the content areas, again, if thinking about services businesses, first of all, you've got content as it relates to your projects, and this is in the form of deliverables, diagrams. If you're in the construction industry, maybe it's progress photos, site photos. All the different types of things that you have to be able to store, develop, and manage as it relates to the delivery of a particular project. So we have content area already crafted out to be that place where everybody goes to develop as well as manage and also find their project-related content. If you're out there winning projects, chances are you're having to bid them or estimate them. So we have an area already crafted, which is around the management of the content around bids and proposals. We call them opportunities because depending on what industry you're in, you may have a different meaning. But this is where the estimates, the proposals, the initial communications from a document standpoint would be developed and would reside within the system. You've also obviously got clients, and you might have documents or content that's really more client level. Maybe it's not related to a specific project or a particular bid or opportunity. Maybe it's client level, and this may be in the realm of things like mutual non-disclosures or master services agreements or policies or practices or things that are more client level versus an individual project level. If you have if you're services companies, chances are you've got resources, which is, obviously the teams that are out there doing the work, and you're going to have project roles, which is really trying to match up, the resources, to the roles. And so we have a staffing center area that people can go in and request project roles, and then whoever is responsible for that can then go out there and search for resources and fill those roles. A lot of services companies also work with other partners, and these may be in the realm of subcontractors or contractors or vendors, and people that you need to collaborate with, share information with, get information from. And so again, we've already pre-cast an area that's designed for partners and be able to easily collaborate with them. And then, just a couple other simple things. I mean, having the need for like a centralized knowledge repository, where things like best practices and maybe it's OSHA training, it could be, a number of things, having that centralized place that everybody knows to go look in if they want to find that kind of material. And then if you're representing solutions, let's say you're an IT type company and you have certain products or solutions that you represent, a place that you can store the kind of the template materials around that. So the ServicePoint365 product, its intent is to provide an out-of-the-box environment that's already pre-configured around all these different content areas that a customer may have, and then give people the ability to get to it, whichever device they happen to be on, whether they're on their PC, or if they're using a tablet, or even get to it, from a phone device. Realizing that a lot of services companies are outbound in their nature, so they're not always going to be tethered to their particular PC. So that's that's in a nutshell what ServicePoint365 is all about. We're going to drill into it a little bit further. Obviously, let me pause here. Just remind you, there is a chat window if you haven't already found it, where you could submit questions, and you feel free to do that. We'll pause periodically and submit and try to read some of those questions, and feel free to do that, and have those questions come across, and we'll take time to answer those. We'll also open up all the phone lines at the end and take some verbal questions as well. And first question is about pricing, and we are going to cover that. So we will cover that here towards the latter part of the presentation today. Okay, I'm going to change to the next slide. So this is the main menu, or the main user interface, and you can see if you've seen which who hasn't, some of the Windows 8 look and feel. You can see that this all looks very much Windows 8ish. We use the concept of tiles and colors and so forth for the main user interface. But what we have done is, if you think about the content areas that we talked about before, project content, bids, opportunities, partners, we use a concept of centers that are out there pre-organizing this user interface into all those different content areas. So for instance, Project Center is where we would find all of our projects, and we would find all of the workspaces that are provisioned for each project, and then all of our project content. The Sales Center is where we would find all of the content related to our bids and proposals and opportunities. Client Center is where we would find our client level documents. Again, these might things like mutual non-disclosures or master agreements or policies or practices, security things at the client level. Delivery Center. If you're in the services business, you typically have methodologies. So this is where you can store your template methodologies and ensure that all of your teams are pulling from those standard methodologies and the templates versus using their own. We had talked about Knowledge Center being a general repository, Partner Center where We can create areas. So just to kind of give you a orientation to what the main user interface looks like, this is it. This is the way that people enter and access the content. You can also go directly into things, but this is the main navigation, and this UI will actually it's an active UI, so if you're on a different device, it will resize itself for that particular device to make it usable on things like tablets and even on phones and so forth. So that's the main user interface, and we're going to pop over into the live software here in just a few minutes. So we'll spend some more time on that here in the product itself. Okay. So what we do behind the scenes, first of all, is this sits on top of Office 365 or SharePoint Online. So clients subscribe to that product, and then what we do is we lay ServicePoint 365. You can think of it as if you're a SharePoint person, SharePoint has you can have a number of site collections. Well, this is a site collection template, intelligent template that we lay on the site collection that basically puts our code or application on that site collection. And so the end users now have the ability to access all the SharePoint content through our new user interface, and it makes it very easy for them to get to it. But we haven't eliminated the ability for them to go directly and do other things in SharePoint directly if they so choose to do that, because there are situations where they may not operate within ServicePoint 365. They want to do just pure SharePoint stuff. So we haven't eliminated that ability to do so. But as I mentioned earlier, if you have experience with SharePoint, you know that SharePoint is a very flexible tool. It can do a lot of things, but one of the challenges is the fact that it is flexible and you can do a lot of things. And from an end user standpoint, many times end users struggle with finding content that they know is out there. They know that we've created it somewhere. We know it's there, but where is it? And so the information architecture that we deliver here makes it very simple for people to find their information. So for instance, if I want to go out and find and look at or work on the deliverables related to a particular project, it's pretty simple. I go into the Project Center, and then what I would see is I would see all of my projects are listed, and each project has its own workspace that's been generated. That's there ready to store the project deliverables and a number of other things related to a particular project. And so part of what our application does is whenever you add a new project to the Project Center, it automatically generates these workspaces, and then it also automatically puts on the workspaces different you can think of them as web parts or content areas that are basically a template area that already precast for the different information that we're going to contain for a particular project. Sales Center, same process. So I go into Sales Center, I see all the different sales opportunities that we have. Each sales opportunity has its own workspace with its own content on it, so very easy for people to find. Client Center, same thing, would show me all my clients. Each client can have their own individual workspace with their own individual content. And so, this same approach is how we use it for or deliver this for all the different centers within the ServicePoint 365 application. So, making it easy to find content, make it easy to create workspaces for content, and then there's linkage between all these things. So when I add a new project, for instance, we tie it to the client that it's for. So I can look at an individual project. I can go into a client and see on that client workspace, here's all the different projects that we have going on, or here's all the different sales opportunities that we have going on. So we have linkage that we develop between these different centers. So let me pause here and check to see have we received any more emails or chat questions. Let's see, is ServicePoint365 compatible with SharePoint 2013? Yes, actually, the environment we're going to open up here in just a second is actually 2013 based. And if you're interested in 2010 version of SharePoint, we do have a version of the product that is available for that. Obviously, the direction for us is 2013, but we do have a version of it that can be deployed in a 2010 environment as well. And let me see any other questions. Not at this point. So feel free to submit your questions via the chat window. Again, we'll open up the lines at the end for verbal ones as well. Okay, so let's go over and show the live application. So I'm going to switch here, and I'm going to, rather than sharing this PowerPoint, I'm going to switch it to sharing a particular application. So we're going to share the ServicePoint365 environment. You may, on your end, be asked to accept the content. So please check your link panel to see if it's asking for you to accept the content. And I'll give everybody a minute to do that. So here is the main user interface, as you saw before in the slide. So we've got real quick, Company Center is designed to be kind of a intranet, more design, which is general company information. Client Center, where our client information would go. Project Center, where our projects would go. Sales Center for our bids, opportunities. Resource Center, this is a little bit of free form. In what intended to be is a place that you can house your consulting resources and profiles and resumes. Some people have other systems that information already resides in, but that's the intent of Resource Center, is to have kind of that centralized list of here's all my different resources. Staffing Center is where we can go to add staffing requests, either for a project, or it could be a request for a pre-sales type of role. Maybe you need a business analyst to help on a particular proposal. Delivery Center is where we would find methodologies. And I say that plural because you might have a different methodology for a different practice area, so you can have multiple different methodologies in their own templates. Solution Center, where the product literature, if you're representing solutions, would go. Knowledge Center, General Repository. Partner Center, where a place where you can provision workspaces for partners to work with. And then Search Center, which is an overall search engine that runs on top of the environment here, be able to easily find content. So let's go into a couple of these centers, and we'll do a quick walkthrough, give you a feel for what these things look like and how they operate. So I just selected Project Center as the first center to go into. And what I'm greeted with here is now my navigation's down the left-hand side of the screen, and it shows me which center I'm in. But here are my different projects that are currently going on, different statuses. And shows me, client, here's the name of the project, what, service line or what part of a practice area, status, project lead, start date. And these column headings here, are just a group of them that we selected for this environment, as kind of a way to articulate, that you can have different types of column data that displayed here. So what I mean by that is that your deployment, you may choose that there's different information that you want to have viewed at this level, which is more important than like a project start date. And we'll get into this in a minute, but there's a whole bunch of other fields out there that you can select from and have displayed in all of these different views. So here's my first project, which is for Space Coast Construction, GCA building. If I want to go in and take a look at all the deliverables and content related to that, I simply click on this link to workspace, and it will open up the workspace that has been provisioned for that particular project. And it may take just a second to paint at your end. But here I've got the name of the project. I can see a description, and then here is where all my project documents go. So this is where my project deliverables, my project documents, my diagrams, status reports, steering committee reports, photos. If you're in industry that there's a lot of photos being taken, these would be all stored in the project documents area. And you can create folders and subfolders of the content. And then we've also provided a number of different ways of tagging content, so I can tag what kind of content it is. I can also status content, so maybe stuff gets put out here in a draft status, and then it gets moved in to an approval status. And of course we keep track of anything that's modified, when it's been modified, who modified it, all of that. Very easy to get content out into this area. So if I and you probably won't be able to see this window because it's not a window I'm sharing, but I can literally go out and I'm just opening a Windows Explorer, and I'm going out and I'm finding a document, and I'm dragging and I'm dropping it into my document list here. So the document I grabbed was a document called sample Word, and so I literally just dragging and dropping it from my my file share or my local hard drive out into this area. There's also tools that come with the environment to synchronize content, online with offline, so you can carry it around, work on it, have it sync back up into these different libraries as well. So if I move down, some of the other things, again, I'm on a project workspace for an individual project, which is this GCA building. And so some other information that we automatically put on this is, here's some of the tags, or what we call metadata that we're carrying as it relates to a particular project. What service line it's in, when we want it, what type of billing, status, and so forth. If there are any content or contacts, either our contacts or client contacts, this is a place where you can put those, so anybody who's going out there and looking at a particular project can easily see, okay, who are the key folks from the client side that are involved in this, and kind of what their job titles or what their roles are. If we've used the staffing center to request a role, here, for instance, we needed a supervisor for this project, some information about when the dates were, who requested it. Here's a high-level project calendar. So this is meant to be kind of major milestones or general items as it relates to a particular project. It's it's something you can synchronize with your Outlook as well. And so things like steering committee meetings, project shutdown dates, project go-lives, major milestones that you want everybody on the project to be able to see when these milestones are, and give them that viewpoint. You can put individual tasks also here. There is a mechanism to be able to synchronize tasks with Microsoft Project, if that's what you're using in the business, and be able to do that. Also, project links. These might be links to other important areas that you want project members to be able to quickly get access to. Client invoices. If we're using this environment to actually upload and store invoices, you can tag an invoice to which client and which project it's a part of, and it would show up here. We don't have any invoices in here today. And then also partner invoices. So if you're working with third parties or subs and you want to store the partners' invoices here, so whoever the project manager is, you can come to one place and get those. So the idea is having a workspace for the project that has a lot of information that's valuable to people who want to see and work on the documents related to it, who want to see what the milestones are, who want to maybe put in some key tasks that somebody else perform. And the great news is once content's out here, all the great features that you can do in SharePoint, for instance, co-authoring. You could have 5 people opening up the sample Word document at the same time and working on it at the same time versus having to email that document around to those 5 people. They can actually do what's called co-authoring. You can easily share documents both internally and externally so that people who need to get access to it, even people who don't have a seat or subscription to this, you can share documents to external folks using anonymous links, or require them to do a Windows Live sign-in to get access. So there's lots of ways to get out there and share the content, work with the content with the people that need it the most. And I'm just going to delete this document real quick just to get it out of this environment. All right, so that's a little bit about Project Center. Let's go back to our main menu here, and let's dive into a couple other areas real quick. So a lot of times projects start with a proposal, or in what we call in our vernacular opportunities or sales opportunities, and so we have an area that's been set aside specifically for proposals, and it's called the Sales Center. And here in the Sales Center, once again, if I click on it, it's going to take me and show me here are all the different sales opportunities that we have going on. So each of these is an individual opportunity that complete with here's the client, here's the name of the opportunity, again what practice area, service line. I can do things like status and estimate, and so once again these views as far as what information we're displaying is user defined, meaning that you can go out and select very easily from a whole bunch of other fields to display here. And it's simply, I'm just going to go out there and show you an example of this. I'm going to modify this view. You can see I've got 5 or 6 columns right now that are being displayed, things like client and title and service line and all that. But you can see I've got a whole bunch of other metadata tags that we carry with this content that you can go and pick from. And so I could display who's the primary salesperson, who's responsible from a customer standpoint, what type of contract do we anticipate this to be, what year. Those are all examples of things that you may choose to display instead of the fields that we are displaying in our standard kind of out of the box view. And those all, whenever I go to add a new item, and this action is the same way in all of them. Basically, when I say I want to add new, it opens up a window which says, okay, here's all the different fields that we can select from and apply to a particular opportunity. In this case, you're not required to fill all these out. It's really completely at the mercy of what the client decides is important. The only things that's required right now is I have to give, I'm in the sales area, the opportunity area, I have to give it an opportunity name, and I have to assign it to a particular client, which again, this is being pulled from the Client Center, the available clients, and then I can tag it to what type of opportunity it is. If I want to be managing and be able to sort, sequence, and filter. This is an example of the table of values that we're reaching out to and allowing people to select from is a user-defined table of values that you can easily go out there and add your own unique values to it. So you can include your opportunity types or your industries or any of these values, your statuses, which allows you to tailor it. No programming involved. It's just user-defined tables behind the scenes. So there's a whole bunch of fields here. Again, it's up to you whether or not you choose to use them or not. But we give them to you as a way of being able to build more intelligence into the information that's out here. And so each of the centers has their own unique set of metadata tags that have been delivered as a part of the solution for them. So clients have their own tags projects have their own sets of tags, sales, staffing, requests, methodologies, the whole bit. Okay, so if I go into a workspace in the sales center, it'll start looking familiar. So here's the name of the opportunity, a description of it. Here's my opportunity documents. So these would be my bids, my proposals, my estimates. And then in the sales area, we've also included this approvals grid, which you can assign who in the organization is responsible for reviewing things, such as, you know, from a finance perspective or a legal perspective. And you know, people can go in and you know, select, you know, say that they approve, not approve, or approve subject to tasks. We have a task area down below where they can put in their tasks, and I'll show you that in a second. So that's kind of a neat way of, you know, typically what we see this environment being used for within organizations that have geographically dispersed folks is, you know, whenever something's ready to go out the door, they have an approval call or a review call. Everybody goes to the workspace, is able to open up the estimates and the documents, review it, ask questions about it. The good news is everybody's looking at the same version of everything versus email strings, and then they can basically approve right there. Some other information, you know, some of the metadata that we're carrying with an opportunity. Here's a high-level opportunity calendar. You know, we're not trying to recreate a CRM system, but this is, you know, milestones that everybody would be interested in, such as maybe RFP released, RFP due. We have site visits scheduled for a certain date, you know, whatever the major kind of event is. Opportunity roles, if we've put in staffing requests for roles, you know, such as analyst help or something like that. You can task area, so again, if somebody's done an approval subject to task, they can put a task in here and assign it to somebody. And then, you know, just some other things such as, you know, who are our contacts, as well as who are the, you know, client contacts. Again, not trying to go overboard on the CRM side of the life, but you know, for somebody who's looking at an opportunity or a bid in its entirety, you know, they want to see the documents, they want to see the general schedule, you know, they'd like to see who's involved. All of that stuff is all contained in this particular workspace. Okay, let me pause here and see if we have any questions that have come across. So we had an email that says, can you work with SharePoint on premises or just SharePoint online? Well, we developed ServicePoint365 specifically for SharePoint online, but by doing so, you're more limited in what you can do in SharePoint online than you can on premises, and that's just kind of a way of saying that, you know, absolutely this could be deployed on premises as well. And it works quite nice. As a matter of fact, most of our development actually happens in on-premises SharePoint farm, and then we deploy it to online. Okay. Had another question: is there a trial available? Yes, there is. We will talk about that in just a minute. And okay, I think that's the bulk of the things I'm seeing right now. So. So let's get back to where we were here, and just real quickly, a couple of the other centers. We're not going to, due to time, we're not going to be able to go through, you know, all of these centers in a great deal of detail, but we will, you know, talk about just a couple other ones. If I go back to the main menu now, we talked about Knowledge Center, but search, you know, obviously within SharePoint and within this environment, there's a tremendous amount of information. We've increased the value of the information by being able to tag it, and then search gives you the ability to go find it and then be able to use what's called Search Refiner. So if I wanted to go out and see just, for instance, project status reports for a particular date range by a particular author. It allows me to go and refine search very easily and just to be able to home in on exactly what it is that I want to find. Okay? And then last but not least, there's a very robust help guide, a solution guide that comes with the environment. You simply click on the help up here and it will open up a document that will explain in detail all of these centers and what they look like and what you can do with them. So I'm going to, based on time, I'm going to stop the screen share here for the live environment and go pop back over and spend just a couple minutes wrapping up with some additional slide content. So give me just a second to move over there. Okay, so who are the people or the types of industries that we're seeing the most traction in right now? Well, again, I think the common denominator is companies that kind of at the core of what they do, they're dealing with projects and resources and deliverables and bids, proposals, and so we find companies that are consulting firms that are out there doing, whether it's business consulting projects, IT consulting projects, companies in the construction industry. If you think about a general contractor and all the documents that from licenses and permits and field things that have to be stored, engineering firms, another strong set of companies looking at solutions like this, IT services. And then even you have companies that maybe it's a manufacturing company by nature, but they do a bunch of projects internally, whether it's IT projects or maybe they're building a new warehouse or a new facility, and so having something to help them be able to manage both internal all the content related to internal projects. So that's kind of the common core of organizations that we are attracting and are doing business with. And what's the value? So if you're looking at the overall Office 365 platform for the business, you're looking for return on that investment because obviously there's money involved in subscribing to it. So one of the things is clients are getting a higher return simply because they're able to leverage all of the pieces of the puzzle. So if you're not able to leverage the SharePoint component but you own it, it's kind of a lost money. So our solution gives them the ability to improve the ROI by using all the pieces of the puzzle, and then be able to do that in a pretty quick and timely fashion, meaning that you're not talking months here to go deploy a solution. Literally, we have some clients that have moved to Office 365 that we've had ServicePoint and SharePoint up and running even before their email is fully migrated and deployed. Simply because it's very simple to go provision an area, lay our templates on it, and begin working on doing kind of the final configuration work and then the upload of the content if you want to migrate content. And then overall user satisfaction. It's a fairly common problem that SharePoint has out there in the marketplace. Great functionality, but end users struggle just a bit, and so this gives them an intuitive, predefined user interface that's understandable. They know where to go. They know how to use it. They don't need to have SharePoint skills to be successful with it. So we see a lot of increase in user satisfaction as well. Pricing, we had a question about what is the price. So what we do is we put it in bundles, and it's again subscription-based model, and it's a per seat per month type of charge. So just take an example. The starter one bundle comes with 5 seats, but it's a $9 per seat per month. So 5 times 9 is 45. So you can see that a starter one is $45 per month. And so what happens is you move up the food chain as far as the number of seats. If I were to go over to mid-market one bundle, that comes with 50 seats, and it's got its own price point, and the per seat charge is dropping as you increase the number of seats. The other thing that we've done is we've included some basic setup services in this number. So what we do is we will work with your team to get the site collection provisioned. We'll get the template laid down on it. Make sure everything's working from, technically. We also include an orientation session as a way of getting kind of the key project owners up to speed on how the solution works, and also talk about some of the things that they can easily do to tailor it, and help them start planning what their deployment projects would look like. We do also offer ongoing services, so we can help anywhere from managing the deployment from a project management, customization. So we can help with content migration. If you have a lot of content that needs to be brought over, we can help with that aspect as well. So we do have those follow-on services to help with your successful deployment of the project. So these numbers do not include your Office 365 subscription, because there's a number of different plans that you can choose from, and so depending on whether or not you choose mid-market bundle, whether or not you choose E1, E3, you can make that choice and decide which of the pieces of the puzzle. The only piece that we require is that whatever you subscribe to, you need to have SharePoint Online Plan 1, which essentially comes with any of the bundled plans. You can even go out and subscribe to SharePoint Online Plan 1 independently, meaning maybe you're not ready to move the email side of the business over to Office 365, but you do want to start using a collaboration tool like this. You could go subscribe to just SharePoint and deploy that in that fashion. And so the commitment that we're also asking for, it's an annual commitment, but you can pay month to month. So that's a little bit about the pricing. Hopefully that answers that pricing question. And you can actually go out to our Cloud AG website. If you go into the ServicePoint 365 area, there's a big tile at the top that says Buy Now, and that will actually expose the pricing to you as well. All right. Okay, last but not least, depending on your reason for being here, we do have interest also from other Microsoft partners that are out there doing work with Office 365 with their clients and leveraging ServicePoint 365 for their clients. So we do have a partner program if that's the type of business that you're in, which means that we can work with you anywhere from a referral to a sales assist to even being a reseller of ServicePoint 365 to your clients, and we would support you in that regard. And there is a alias here, partner@cloudag.com, that you can go to and get more information on that, and people will be happy to respond to you and give you that additional feedback. And last but not least, so how do you get started? Well, we do offer a free trial if you are interested in that, and we have a trial environment that we can get you access to, which actually very similar to what you just saw as far as the environment that we use for this presentation. It's already got some sample data out there. You can play around in it. You can create new projects. You can upload some content. I just caution you, it's a public trial environment, so I wouldn't put anything out there that's confidential. But you can go out there and create something that would look similar to how you would want to use it, and get some hands-on experience with it. And then we would have you then obviously sign up for the solution and then work with you to begin your implementation. And that could either be in tandem with you moving forward with Office 365 if you're just now considering that, or if you've already started down the path of Office 365, we can start this as another phase of that implementation. And so more information can be found. Here's our contact information if you don't already have it. So I think that's about the end of our allotted time here. We do have a few more minutes, and as I mentioned, we're happy to take voice questions if you have them. Let me see if I can unmute folks that are out here in the audience and see if anybody has a question. And if you might have yourself muted, so if you do, unmute yourself and feel free to lob those questions in, or we'll continue to monitor the chat window for another couple minutes here as well. All right, doesn't look like right now we have any audio questions. Let me go back to chat, and also we have some that are coming in via email. See if there's any other questions. Oh, we had a question about, can clients or partners customize ServicePoint365? And the answer to that is yes. We realize that people are going to view this in a couple different ways. Some people will look at what we deliver out of the box and say, hey, that's great, that's everything we need. And then some people are going to look at it as a kind of a starting point, to where they say, hey, this has got 80% of what we need, and we'd like to continue to add to it, things like maybe creating workflows or alerts or tying it back into other systems they have. So you do have the ability to go out and customize the environment if there's additional functionality that you feel like needs to be added. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap it up for our session today. Looks like we're just about right on time. Once again, appreciate your attention and carving out an hour of your time today. Look forward to hearing back from you if this is a solution that you think has fit for your business. We'd love to work with you on it. So we'll sign off now. Again, thank you for joining us today. Bye now.